College tuition alone has really increased. It is crazy how expensive college is. Take a really long time to think about whether college is right for you. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this video and checking out my YouTube channel. If you find this video helpful and useful, please go ahead and subscribe and like and comment so that this video will be able to reach more people, because I really hope that this video is helpful and useful to you guys viewing. I've been wanting to do a life advice and wisdom series on my YouTube channel because there are definitely some things that I wish I knew when I was younger. And one of those things is college and student loans. So this is what that video is going to cover. But before I get into that video and talking about college and student loans, I just want to put a disclaimer that this is all my opinions. I am going to be talking about my own personal experience and also my friends. You can take that with a grain of salt, but I really do hope that you'll listen and that what I'm saying will be helpful for you. So I want to give a brief summary and introduction to my own experience. So I went to a technical high school and I focused on art. And then after I graduated high school, I went to community college for 2 years and got an Associate's of Fine Arts. And I ended up staying an extra semester so that I could transfer and enroll into a 4-year university in the fall. I did that, and then I graduated from that university 2 years later, right before the pandemic, and my degree was a Bachelor's of Art in Art Therapy, and it was a brand new program, and I was one of the first to graduate. So that is just a brief summary of my own experience. I also paid off my student loans this past year, so that'll be part of a section as well, and I will give you guys my own personal advice on how I paid off my student loans and just the process. The first section of this video is college. I just want to discuss college in general. It can be overwhelming, especially when you're a high school student, a junior, senior, or even a recent graduate. You might be a little confused, so I want to give reasons why I personally don't like college, give my own 2 cents. I personally think college is unnecessary, and the reason why I think that is because times have changed. My mom's generation, my mom is a baby boomer, so at that time, college was really important. College was a privilege. If you graduated from a college, you were very distinguishable and recognizable. However, I don't really see that as the case anymore now. There's a lot of jobs out there that will only require high school diplomas, unless it's the big jobs, big careers. But a lot of the jobs, they don't really require an education, unless you know for sure that you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, a surgeon, anything that is required and necessary where you will definitely be needed in the work field, then I don't really know if college is necessary for you. Also, going into that, college is expensive. College tuition alone has really increased. It is crazy how expensive college is. And when you think about college, it is not only the tuition, it is also the meal plan. If you end up living on campus, you'll have to pay for that. Dorming and all of those fees. There's a lot of fees. There's going to be books and materials that you will also need, transportation. There's just a lot of things to consider and a lot of expenses to consider with college. That's not just the tuition. Also, unfortunately, college does not guarantee a job. And I hate to say this because I'm an artist and I love art. However, I have had difficulty finding a job, and I know a lot of my friends who are also artists and also very talented artists, by the way. They've also found difficulty finding a job in their field. Even graphic design. My boyfriend, he studied graphic design and his passion is motion graphics. And he had a good career for 3 years and unfortunately got laid off because the company was getting smaller, and he got laid off, and now he is finding a lot of difficulty getting a new job. So it doesn't always guarantee a job unless you are a profession that I mentioned above in my first point. Also, there's a lot of misconceptions about community college, or maybe not as much knowledge. I know when I was a high school senior, my shop teacher highly recommended community college. And I am so grateful I did it, because community college is just as good enough education as going to a 4-year university. So do not get that mixed up. It is a good option, and you're paying for way cheaper credits and classes than if you were to go to a 4-year university. Community college is also really good if you don't really know what you want to do outside of high school and afterwards, and even for the future. You don't need to have the pressure of knowing exactly what you want to do after high school. So community college is good to kind of test it out, figure out your interests, figure out what you want to focus on and what you are passionate in. That's where community college is good for. And also, you could take a lot of general education classes at community college. If you wanted to learn a language, you could do that. Some community colleges offer really useful classes like business and cooking that you could easily take, and it won't be as expensive. Those are my points about college. Now, I also want to discuss student loans. Student loans and college go hand in hand. That is just how it is. And most of the time, you will not be able to afford college because of how expensive it is. So then that points you at student loans. So my own experience is my mom and I had an agreement where she would pay for my community college tuition, which I think was not more than $10,000 total. I paid for my university's tuition, which I ended up with, I think, I'm just gonna round up 17,000, and then plus my mom would also pay for rent when I was living off of campus too. So that was the agreement that we had, and I'm so grateful for my mom for doing that, because that really helped me not to get into so much debt. But I know a lot of times students will graduate from college and they'll be sadly like $30,000 in debt. And when you think about it, that's basically the price of a car. So take that with what you will. But it was unfortunate. So here's how I paid off my debt. I paid off my student loans this past year, and I started paying off my student loans my last semester at my university, because I was doing work study and I did receive some financial aid and I did receive some scholarships. So that was really helpful. But with work study, I would basically take some of the money and just pay off my student loans. There is a thing where you have 6 months grace period with your student loans where it doesn't accrue interest, and also before you have to start paying off your student loans after you graduate. I basically just want to say, pay off your student loans as soon as possible. Don't wait. Especially if you're working, if you have a job and you have income and you are able to put that income towards your student loans, I would put a huge chunk towards my student loans. And if I had extra income, I would just put it towards my student loans. I was really aggressive. You want to be aggressive with your student loans. because interest is terrible. If you aren't aggressive and you only pay the minimum monthly payments, you're gonna pay more in interest, and you're gonna end up paying even more than what you originally owed and what you took out. I also watch Dave Ramsey currently, and I highly recommend watching Dave Ramsey. He is really amazing with financial advice. However, at the time when I was a college student, I wasn't watching Dave Ramsey. I just got into Dave Ramsey 2 years ago, I think. But I just knew that I wanted to pay off my student loans because I hate being in debt. I hate owing people. So it took some time, and when COVID hit, I know that there was 0% interest, but I took that time and kept just slowly chopping down the principal balance and paying off my student loans. And sometimes if my student loan, for instance, was $1,500, I would pay $500 upfront and just knock it off down to $1,000. And the way I also paid off my student loans too is I paid off the unsubsidized high interest loans first, or I would pay off the lower balance first. That way, while I was paying off my student loans, I felt like I was making progress. So I kind of categorized my student loans. That is just what I did personally. I would use tax returns and extra side gigs and extra income and just put that directly towards my student loans to pay them off. So how to avoid student loans. And so I understand that, again, you're not going to be able to afford college if you do go that route, which I really highly recommend you take a really long time to think about whether college is right for you. Don't listen to your parents. Your parents are going to say, go to college, get into debt. It's good debt. It's part of life. You're meant to go to college. That's the next thing you're supposed to do. Don't listen to that, because you gotta pay attention and focus on your future, because you're gonna be the one that has to live with it, not them. So as much as their advice and their encouragement to push you into going to college, I would just wait and really think hard about whether that is a good option for you. That would be one way of avoiding student loans, is figuring out whether or not you should go to college. Other ways to avoid student loans, if you do end up going to college, is save up. You know, don't just go to college right away. Save some money up. Wait a little bit. And also try to find a job that pays for your schooling or does tuition reimbursement, or even find a job that will give you a scholarship to go to school. And my third thing is buy books and materials secondhand. So a lot of times professors will want you to buy the new versions and editions to textbooks. And I personally don't see the point in actually buying the newest edition, because it's going to be so much more expensive, and also the editions, they're very minor sometimes. So just be honest with your professor and tell them and really ask them if you could buy a older edition for your textbooks. But any other materials, go to a thrift store. You don't need brand new stuff. You could even ask around. I'm sure there's someone that has a bunch of notebooks that you could use to take notes. You don't need to buy a bunch of stuff. Whenever you can afford to go cheap, I would highly recommend it, because that way there'll be more money to put towards other things or put towards student loans if you still need to get them, which I totally understand. You would have to be rich to basically afford to go to college these days, which is so frustrating. My third section is what I would recommend doing. this is what I personally would recommend doing. And this is hopefully really good advice that will be able to resonate with you. My first point is don't go to college right out of high school. Instead, work a few years and save up money. I went into this briefly before, but I highly suggest it because a lot of the times parents will think that you should immediately go to college. But again, it's so expensive. And if you are not sure about what you want to do, you might be wasting your time and energy and especially your money if you go into a college not knowing what you want to major in and then realizing that you don't like that major, changing your major. You are going to be in so much more debt than if you just took a year or two off and just figured out what you wanted to do. And also you could be saving up. Again, you might not be able to save up, tuition, amount of money, but you could be saving up money that you could put towards books and towards a meal plan and other college expenses. My second point is do find a job that offers tuition reimbursement. I went into this again, a previous point. Some jobs will. You have to look, but some jobs will. Or if they don't offer a complete tuition, they might offer specific classes like mental health, especially if you want to be in the medical field or be a psychologist or a counselor or interested in being a therapist. You might be able to get some of the mental health courses reimbursed. I would also highly recommend trying to find an internship or a job that's very similar or in line to what you are interested in doing with your future and as a career. Do apply for as many scholarships as possible. Don't just apply for 5 and then be like, I'm done. Apply for as many scholarships as possible. I applied to so many scholarships when I was a high school, junior and senior, because you want to start this when you're a junior technically. I would apply for scholarships, and there are so many websites out there that I signed up for and made an account for, and they listed all of the scholarships, and then it would just bring me to a link. I would apply for it and make sure you get teachers' references too. That will also help. And you could even ask them for advice in terms of your essay too, because some scholarships will require an essay. But apply to as many as you possibly can. And if you're an athlete, try to find a college that will also give you a big hefty scholarship. And check out and apply for financial aid. Financial aid can be terrible because sometimes they will take your parents' income, and if your parents make a lot, you might not get any financial aid or very minimum financial aid, which kind of sucks because they're assuming that your parents are going to be paying for your college education, and that is not the case. However, the good thing that I was able to get was work study. So I was able to work on campus or work different jobs that will basically provide me money that I could use towards books. And it was, again, like a regular job, but my jobs were on campus, which was kind of nice because I was getting financial aid. Make sure to apply for grants too. So I applied for financial aid, scholarships, grants, and then I also got work study, and I was able to work and make some money while I was studying and while I was going to college. Don't get student loans, or at least avoid Sallie Mae. If you are able to get government student loans, they are so much better than private student loans like Sallie Mae because the interest is just ridiculous and just terrible. My student loans were through Navient, which they recently changed to Advantage, and that was it. Luckily, I didn't get any private student loans. They were all through the government. And when you're in college, if you do end up going to college, don't take only minimum credits. And what I mean by that is, say you only need to take 12 credits to be considered full-time student, don't just take 12 credits. Take as many classes as you can possibly take, because what happens with that situation, say you were only taking 12 credits, that means that it's going to take you longer to complete your degree, which means that you are going to get into more debt because you will be staying at that college for longer and be enrolled at that college for longer. So, just as aggressive as I was with student loans, I took as many classes as I possibly could. Sometimes I would take 5 classes if I had to. Sometimes I would take classes in the summer and also take online classes, because I'd rather get out of college as quick as possible. And that should be your mindset too. If you go to college, you don't want to be doing the minimum. You want to be getting in there and getting out as soon as possible. That's going to save you so much money in the long term. Also, do commute to school. So what I mean by that is living at school, living in the dorms. It might sound like a really fun experience, but trust me, it is going to be expensive. And I personally don't have that experience because I lived off campus and the rent wasn't too bad. I think my rent was $600, which isn't too bad compared to rent nowadays, but it's a lot cheaper compared to living in a dorm. And especially if you are going to a college and you know there's family or friends nearby that college, ask them. Ask them if you could live with them for the next 2 or 3 years and you pay them rent. You know, you pay for your own expenses, your own food, but at least live with them rather than living on campus. Do go to community college and then transfer to a 4-year university. The only warning that I have with that, you want to be very careful on what university you transfer to. My community college had a lot of agreements with other universities where, depending on the major you would take, all of your credits would transfer. However, I do know some friends who transferred to a 4-year university and not all of their credits transferred. So, what I would recommend doing is really doing a lot of research and looking up what colleges that your community college will transfer, credits to, what colleges they won't. I will also reach out to the admission for the university that you are interested in and see, give them your transcript of what classes you took and all of the credits. Most of my credits transferred. I think there was only 1 or 2 classes that I had to take again, and those were art history, so for some reason it didn't count. However, the rest of my classes did count. So just be careful with that and just do your research, and hopefully your credits will transfer over, and that'll save you a lot of time and money as well. And you'll also be able to graduate sooner. I also didn't do a study abroad, even though I wanted to. I really did want to study abroad. And the reason why I didn't do it is because I didn't have any classes to take that would be, abroad or international. My university had the option to go to Rome or Japan, and I was interested in going to Rome. I even took Italian 1 and 2, but I unfortunately just couldn't go because none of the classes that I had left were applicable. So instead of studying abroad, I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna stay at the university any longer than I had to. So I just didn't study abroad, and I was okay with that because I'd rather just, travel. I would rather just save up my money, travel to Rome or even Japan, and just spend my time and enjoy my time there rather than be so occupied with my classes and doing homework and stuff like that. Don't go to an out-of-state college because out-of-state tuition is way more expensive than in-state. So the perks of just going to a state college that you are already located at. So much cheaper. You'll save some money. Also, there's a lot of other costs that you're gonna have to consider too, like traveling. If you want to visit friends and family over the holidays and come back to visit, you're gonna have to take into account gas, transportation, flights, all of that as well. And also there's just the whole, you're gonna start fresh too. You're not gonna know anyone, so you're gonna need to meet new people. You're not gonna have any connections. So I just highly recommend you just stay where you're living. It's gonna save you money. If you are not sure about college, or you don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer, but you do want to get an education, I highly recommend you check out vocational or technical colleges. And I say that because those colleges are about teaching you a trade. So you could be a mechanic, you could be, starting to be a nurse. You could get some classes with nursing, you could be doing computers and IT and repairs. You could be a cosmetologist. You could be a baker and get some of that experience, which will be important for finding a job as a chef. There's so many more options that you could do. And I personally would rather go to college and know for sure that the classes and skills that I'm getting from college is going to open up my opportunity to get a job. I feel like trades and all of those different career paths that are offered at trade schools and technical schools, they're not able to be easily replaced. So you'll hopefully find a job as soon as you graduate. And some of those technical colleges too, they aren't massive programs. Some of them you could take 6 months and you'll be able to get a certificate. And I think that's the big thing, is getting a certificate and getting the experience. Worst comes to worst, you should at least have enough experience where you could always do your own business. You could create your own business. Those are my opinions and my advice on college. And like I said before, if you found this video helpful and useful, please like and comment and subscribe. But thank you so much for listening to me rant and talk about college. I really do hope this video was helpful. If you have any other questions or advice, please comment below and I will do my best to respond back. I love responding back to people's comments. Anyways, thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a great day or night or whenever you are watching this video. Bye!